Hello and welcome to the Digital Juice Bar, the only podcast that wants a tycoon game where we run a toy company in the 1980s. I'm Hoodlie.
And I'm not Malcolm.
Wouldn't you play that game?
Sure. I play tons of tycoon games, so that would be probably on the list.
It'd be pretty neat, like Game Dev Tycoon. Only instead of making video games, you research different gimmicks and stuff, and determine the quality of, I guess, the build quality of toys, and then you can make tie-in cartoons and serial. I
think it would be based on how well you balance the quality of a TV show to the quality of a product and the sales numbers, because that has been always a bit wonky. Because I remember a lot of the cartoons being often better than the toys, and sometimes the other way around. And nobody seemingly could beat G.I. Joe, the Transformers, and He-Man. So,
what about Thundercats?
Thundercats was cartoon-wise always relatively successful, but toy-wise not so much. That's not surprising. For the thing with He-Man and the Transformers and G.I. Joe was also that the cartoons were often way better than the toys. In fact, I actually watched a very big amount of G.I. Joe episodes with some friends on the weekend, and we had a blast. Not because of the intended elements.
That's probably just because the cartoons were an advertisement for those cheap toys. Some of them probably weren't cheap.
Yes, but the plot lines were surprisingly interesting, elaborate, and very, very stupid.
80s. It was a show about American soldiers fighting terrorists, but no one ever got shot.
Yes.
That's just so weird. How do we? What's a good thing to market to get? Oh, I know. How about anti-terrorism military violence? Only no one gets killed, no one gets hurt, and that seems just a little bit backwards. It's like when they made a Rambo cartoon.
Yes, I remember that.
And just it's Rambo? Why
it's
are
Rambo,
you doing
the
that?
force for freedom. So stupid.
I can't. What was how the song? I don't remember what the theme song to that went like. Actually, I heard that the Rambo cartoon wasn't that bad.
It's kind of hard to sell the concept of Rambo
in comparison to other 80s and cartoons. So, I gotta let my dog in 1 second.
I think this was still in the 80s. I think this wasn't actually in the 80s anymore. I think this was already 1990, I think. But I have to say, when it comes to all of these weird cartoons, G.I. Joe definitely was ahead of its time with the Baroness. I mean, a girl with glasses that is sexy. That was new at the time. I mean, it wasn't new, but, it was new for mainstream,
I wonder how many people that gave a glasses fetish to.
A lot. It's like anime. You get fetishes you thought you never would get or even were a fetish,
I feel like if you watched enough anime, you will probably have a thing for striped panties.
It's possible. On the flip side, you could also watch Totally Spies and get a giantess fetish.
Dude, I loved Totally Spies when I was a kid.
It's actually not that bad of a show. It's very silly, but kind of funny. It doesn't take itself too seriously. I kind of liked it, yeah?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And it was made by, it was Canadian anime, because they were trying to emulate this style of anime.
It was a French company that made that. It's made by Marathon. That's a large French animation company.
I thought it was French Canadian or something.
You can look this up if you want.
All right, let's see. Created by Vincent Chalvon. I don't know how to pronounce that. Mainly produced by French company Marathon Media and co-produced with Canadian company Image Entertainment Corporation for seasons 3 to 5. So it is kind of French Canadian for some of it.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm actually quite familiar with the work of Marathon. There were a lot of shows here that they sold to us, and a lot of them were pretty decent. Some were weird, some were odd. There was this one thing where they tried to sell me a French space anime, and I kind of liked it.
Wait, was it Oban?
No, not that. Even though that was a good one too, but that's not what I meant. So, what do you have for us today?
Well, why do you keep forgetting that we have to talk about like what we've been doing lately? Why do you do? What have you been up to?
What I have been up to is a lot of cleaning, buying a washing machine, and I think I played a lot of StarCraft 2 lately.
Hmm.
I
Tried playing StarCraft once.
How did it went?
I didn't get past the tutorial. I got really bored.
It's not for everyone, I guess. I only
Yeah.
played it because I wanted to finally finish the campaign and was like, that's it? Wow, these campaigns got continuously not better, but worse.
Yeah.
It's kind of
I
weird.
mean, I wouldn't know.
Nah, it's kind of one of these weird things where they put less effort in them. Like there were so many seek and destroy missions in the final in the final campaign that was just weird. Just there were not so many cool mission gimmicks anymore. The character interactions in between missions was just gone, and I was like, that's not really fun. On top of the fact that Protoss are pretty bad race. Like we are very, very traditional to a fault and cannot adapt to new situations. And suddenly we have to adapt to a new situation because, oh no, the evil god can mind control us.
I have no idea. Like most of the things that you just, I
Don't
do
worry,
not.
I had also no idea that this would happen, so it's very weird. They're apparently a species that can perfectly predict the future. But apparently they don't believe the people who have these visions, despite that they know that this is exactly what happens.
Okay, wait a second. So, like, do they have proof that, like, hey, I told you this would happen,
Yes.
and then people still don't believe them? I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure if like several people can be like, I told you this would happen, like exactly, people would start to believe them.
But yeah, that's the problem with a Protoss, because if they actually started to believe and actually believe in the prophecies, they would have to change their ways, and that would get in the way with their traditions. You know?
Tradition. 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 You ever seen Fiddler on the Roof?
I don't think so.
It's a neat musical. It's really sad.
I have never seen a musical. I'm sorry.
You're missing out.
Probably. I don't mind it. I'm sadly not a theater goer.
Well, they're fun to check out. Maybe you might be able to find some on YouTube or something like that. But Fiddler on the
I'm pretty
Roof,
sure.
it's fun until it's not in like the second half, and then suddenly everything's like super depressing.
Well, yeah. So that's what I was doing. So what are you doing? What do you have been up to?
Well, I was gonna talk about. Okay, I do have this one thing on Crunchyroll because I've finally like been making use of my subscription to it. But I want to talk about some. For my birthday recently, I actually got this component to HDMI adapter thing because I just realized that component surprisingly looks much better than composite cables.
Yeah, that's a thing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, a lot
So
of
I
people
just
don't know
got
that, but that's
component
okay.
cables for my PS2, and then I got this adapter thing, and then I hooked it up to an HDMI, and most of the interlacing is like completely gone. Like I tried playing a dot hack on it because that had some really bad interlacing issues. When I just used the component cable through my game capture, and then I plugged it into the HDMI adapter thing, and I'm like, wow, this looks like really, really good, and it's in the proper aspect ratio. No wonder my footage looked so terrible. I was using crummy composite cables through a weird little like upscaler thing. It was making it all blurry and stretched out, and so now I can finally record like PS2, PS1 games in their proper aspect ratio and actually get some like decent looking footage. Probably won't help
Great.
my videos get any better, but hey, they'll at least look nicer.
For some, this is more than enough.
So you know what the first game that I played was to like really test out what it would look like.
Hello Kitty, the Great Island Adventure.
No, I
But I'm
played
just.
Ape Escape 3 for like the
Oh, okay.
17,000th time.
I mean, it is a great game.
It's like one of my it's like tied for my favorite game ever made. Like right up there with Twewy and Persona 4 Golden.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
Cool.
Twewy got an anime announcement today, and I'm really excited for that. Wish it was a sequel, but I'll take what I can get. I also wish that we get an Ape Escape 4 because I was following the Ape Escape 20th anniversary Twitter thing, and like yesterday, they just took some pictures of a guy in a Peepo Monkey costume swinging on some vine, saying "See you later," and I'm like, oh. So did this didn't culminate in the announcement of a new game?
I mean, it's really time by now.
I know. Like, come on. If the articles are true and you're really about, hey, we can't keep making these gigantic games anymore. Let's scale them back, make them cost less, and maybe make it so they're not so obnoxiously, overwhelmingly long for the next generation, which I'm all for. Bring back Ape Escape. You don't have to make it this massive open world experience with hyper realistic graphics, which would look super creepy. You just have to make it like I would love to see the art style of Ape Escape in like just jump 3 generations ahead. That'd be really cool to see. You could make it like really cool cell shading. It'd make it look like a proper anime in the morning. It'd be super cool. And you don't have to make it super long. It could just be like 10, 12 hours, something like that. Put in some fun boss fights. I want it back. I would love it back. So I played Ape Escape 3 on my PS2 for like the 1000th time, and it looks so good, man. It's nice to finally play a game that I love so much and I've been playing for years in a resolution that is not entirely terrible because, wow, the difference is just absurd.
Well, that's cool. It's
Yep,
always nice to see a classic return.
yep. I'm gonna test it out with the recording because after Afro Samurai and before Okage Shadow King, I'm gonna make a video about Red Faction 1, so that'll be fun.
Ooh, I have played the original Red Faction
How long ago did you play it?
when it released, and I also tried it a few years later. It's not a bad game by any stretch. It has some problems. It really made use of its engine, but you can only do so much with that destructible environment.
Yeah,
So, But I do like the Red Faction franchise. I think there are some real good games in there.
yeah.
Like Guerrilla is really good.
I haven't
That's
played that one.
oh,
I just
you should.
Red
You
Faction.
should.
I love the PS2. People keep saying that, oh, Red Faction's so good. I found Red Faction 1 for like $5, so like, why not?
Actually, the PS2 version is not that great.
Well, it's the only one I got, so.
Well, I mean, you can't try the PC version. I'm pretty sure there's a way to make it run, but you don't need to.
I like the PS2. But anyway, the other main thing that I've been doing is just like finally utilizing my Crunchyroll subscription because anime.
Yeah.
And I decided to go through some stuff in my backlog. The main two that I've been watching is this anime called Nanbaka,
Mm-hmm.
which is funny and it has really jarring tonal shifts. But I'm just gonna say this: don't fricking watch it because the ending. Uh, okay, so here's what it's about. It's this
Okay.
really colorful, sparkly, fabulous prison that's just like super extravagant and luxurious and like full of super crazy strong inmates. And
Okay.
everyone has multicolored hair.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just cool. So it's kind of like a comedy, but then it shifts into trying to be a serious action show, and it can often get kind of like super emo, and I'm just like, this is not a good time. But for the most part, I had fun with it. But then, like, for the last couple, I want to say like 10 episodes in like a 24 episode series, they go through this like maximum security prison block because three really dangerous former um, guard captains escaped, and their goal was to like rescue the guard captain. I can't remember what they're called for cell block 13 because he's just like stupid strong in order to get the guy who escaped. But guess what they did?
But I don't know.
They spend several episodes with flashbacks and monologues about a group of characters that were barely in the show to begin with, and wasting time on a fight that no one cared about, and that at the end they finally got the guy out. They're about to go to the final battle, and the last episode is a silly off-canon alternate universe thing where the prison is a high school. Like, really? You're gonna do that?
What
did I spend the last 23 episodes watching?
They eviled you. Oh, this is so great.
They didn't even me because I don't know. I mean, I really don't want to think about Ava, or I'm gonna start ranting about pretentious neckbeards.
It's okay.
But just like, why? Why did you do that? That's not even a funny joke. That's just rude. Were you banking on a season 3?
I don't think so. I think they wanted this to really screw with the audience.
Well, if you're gonna do something like that, then like, I would rather have they just make the final battle really quick and have the good guys lose, and then they like reveal that it was all fake or something. I don't know, just something other than that. Like I was actually upset about that because it was just like, why'd you do that?
I mean, you didn't see it coming. To be honest, nobody would see this coming.
You never see it coming. Bow, bow. So yeah, Nanbaka, maybe not. Maybe just watch like the first season. I think it's like 12 episodes because it is funny for the most part. I enjoyed it during tonal shifts in the latter half, notwithstanding. But just like at the end, it was just like, wow, that was actually kind of disappointing. You have left me very disappointed, Nanbaka. Why did you spend so long with stupid flashback scenes over explaining characters that I don't care about? Like, they're just side characters. Like, they're not even like some of the more interesting ones. They're just the ones you gave names to. That's it. I don't care what they did. I want to see the actual main characters do something. I don't care. But anyway, the other one that I just decided to watch because it was there is a series called Hajimete no Gyaru, or My First Girlfriend is a Gal, which is it sucks. Don't watch it.
I mean, I'm familiar with that show to a certain degree. I think I read the first manga chapter back in the day when this came out and was like, so this is it. Well, it's kind of underwhelming.
Yeah.
Kind of turns into a weird harem story, and I'm like, why? I thought this was your first girlfriend, not the first girlfriend to enter the harem.
The weird thing about it is that in the anime, I haven't read the manga, so I don't know if like if like they differentiate it from the source material or not. But in the anime, most of the members of his harem kind of hate his guts.
What is hilariously weird.
So, for those who don't know what it is, if you're even still listening at this point, thank you. If you are, we're sorry. Um, but the premise is that typical harem, anime dude guy, Mr. Blandy McBlanderson, uh, is dared by his creepy friends to ask out the school, not necessarily the school idol, but just like this a gyaru or a gal, which in Japanese culture is like, I guess the closest thing we have in America would be a valley girl.
The
I
term
think.
trendy comes to mind when it comes to this. It's a very complex subculture about trendy clothing, design, and stuff like that. It's a complex thing. I don't think you could compare. You could compare it to the Valley Girl, but Valley Girl is stereotypically kind of more in a gaudy sense, and not just trendy clothing. But I don't know so much. You know.
I mean, just like at a baseline level, a gal is pretty much just a girl who likes trendy fashion and stuff like that.
Yeah, in a sense.
All right, so I can't remember her name.
That's always a great sign.
I actually can't remember anyone's names. I watched it like yesterday. I
It
only know
wasn't
the main character's actual name. Surprisingly, it's not like Taro Yamada or something like that. It's actually just Junichi. And the only reason I know that is because the main girl says his name over and over and over and over again.
uh-huh.
Because I guess that's just a thing you have to do in a show like this. But anyway, the main point is it's just them having a relationship, and that's kind of it. And of course, he has the assumption, like a lot of people do about Gyaru characters, is that she's, well, I guess that. I'm not entirely sure how to put this, whatever. It seems like a lot of people in anime assume Gyaru characters. I don't know if this is actually an assumption in Japan, but that because she's a gal, she's kind of a slut, and she's like, yeah, sure, I'll do that with you, and she's not.
Yeah, that's kind of an assumption that a lot of people have because it is often a bit more revealing in clothing and this kind of thing. Attention seeking. A lot of people think that you're just in for a quick ride and that you're easy to have, even though that is probably not
It's
true at
probably not true
all.
at all.
It's like I'm pretty sure it's actually kind of hard to get these girls to even to date. But on the flip side, it could also be that this is kind of you know uh, putting away a lot of attention to them because it's a girl. I can't do that. She's probably somewhere doing the dirty deeds with somebody, and this is probably also making some people afraid or just pushing away for relationships, and that's just sad.
Yeah.
But that's kind of something that always happens if you play with assumptions.
At least we
It's
know
it's
Shadow likes them.
yeah, that's true. But
Also,
I'm
just
not.
to be clear, Gyarus are not the one with the fake tans. Though those are
No.
Ganguros. Those are different. You
There is
can,
often there is a tan option
yeah,
that is
there
often
is.
known as the Kogal for I think it's a deep tan kind of
You
experience.
have
But
one
it's
character like that in the show.
and it's a possibility, but it's not guaranteed. You will if you look up look up the term online, you'll be surprised how many just fair skinned people you will find. Of course, that is not for all of the people the appeal of this kind of character. So
Yeah. But anyway, that's basically the plot. Blandy McBlanderson has a hot and surprisingly wholesome girlfriend who's just kind of a normal person. Shocker.
yeah, I mean, sure, you could have spent time with an anime dating something like I don't know, a hedgehog girl or something like that. That would have been more interesting.
So would you say you would rather watch like Monster Musume?
Mm, to a degree, but I'm not sure. I mean, I have watched it and I'm like, yeah, it's okay, but the amount of doors that get smashed just make me sad. So many doors smashed.
Doors
Why?
matter, man.
Yeah, it's important. Doors
But
have
yeah,
feelings too.
anyway, they eventually, more girls join his harem, even though he doesn't technically have a harem. Starting with the main girl's like best friend, and like the show is not good. Like I'm just gonna say that right now. No matter how much I might say things in it are interesting, I'm just saying that because a lot of it is just like really not good. It surprisingly, I'm not even sure how to describe it. It's just like a lot of the characters are just kind of really unpleasant to be around. Like the main character's friends. One of them is just like a super weird nerd dude who's always yelling about everything. One of them is just a flat out pedo. Like he's always talking about wanting a grade schooler for a girlfriend, and I'm just like, no,
I think
get
I need
that
an
guy
adult.
out of it's every single time he's on screen. It's like he has to say something like that. It's just like that's really, really creepy. Don't. Why is he here?
What
Why
can
is,
I say but yikes?
and however, there are some things that are just like, okay, that's kind of neat. For example, the main girl's best friend, she technically joins the main guy's harem because she wants to break them up because she actually has a crush on the main girl, and I'm just like, okay, that's kind of neat. She's
It's
just like super jealous because she has a boyfriend and she wants her to be with her, and we're just like, all right, that's kind of funny. That's neat. I will give you props for that. She goes like really, really far, like way too far. In the episode she's introduced, I'm not going to get into it because it's just no. So no. Another funny thing they do is that also there's one character that's a member of his harem who's like his childhood friend. So obviously she's not getting with him. She looks like a grade schooler, and her boobs are bigger than her head. It's I honestly I don't think that's physically possible, and I feel very sorry for her back.
listen, I have seen all kinds of anatomical weirdness over my life. This is not as uncommon as you think it is, but I
Probably
wished
not.
it would be. I wished it would be more uncommon.
Oh, so you want to see like more of them, or
No, I don't want to see
oh
more of
no,
them.
I just got it. Okay,
It's kind of disturbing.
yeah. Um, there's actually like one scene where she wants to prove that she's better than his girlfriend, so she just pushes her boobs against hers, and it's just like, see, mine are bigger, and then the other girl joins in, and they just push their boobs together, and I'm just like, what is the point of this? Why are you doing? I get why, but it's just like, props to you for doing this, but it's just like your show still sucks.
You know, at this point, why not just draw a hentai? It's just more
Actually,
easier
there
to.
is one really funny thing that they do that I always like, okay, this is actually pretty funny. I will give you props for this. Whenever there's like a character who's like naked or like mostly naked, like a bunch of weird glittery sparkly things appear on screen, and these two hands appear on screen to like censor everything, and they're like, oh no, it's just like, oh, you can't see that. It's just, I don't know, I thought that was kind of funny.
Ah, yes, Crunchyroll's magical censorings.
I
I mean,
think
they
that's
don't
just
do.
like a part of the animation of the show because
Oh
it
no,
looks
no.
like one of the
The
characters'
studios,
hands.
the studios do that for the TV versions themselves. As of now,
Well,
that's what they do, and Crunchyroll is only showing this specific version, so they don't get in trouble. Uh,
that's
there's
weird because they
there
have an
is an
uncensored anime of like something else.
if you go out there and look for it, you will find out that there is an uncensored version about this pretty much, even though it probably is pretty harmless. But yeah, some studios have started that, and sometimes it's amazingly funny, and I love that.
Yeah,
But
that was like
yeah,
what are the few things. One more thing. I have to wrap up talking about this because honestly,
good.
the show is not really worth talking about all that much. The one thing that just makes me really mad about the show is that there's this one character who I think is what's referred to as a buriko. I can't exactly remember the the term, but she's like the school idol who's actually like this super self-absorbed person who thinks everyone is there to just serve her or something like that. She has a little snake thing that like goes on her hair or around her neck when she's like moonlighting as a Gyaru. I don't want to say cam girl because that's not what she's doing. I guess streamer would probably be the better term. Every time I see that, I'm just mad because it's not an actual snake. Like, it's just like it's some kind of weird bendy snake accessory. And I'm just like, I want more anime girls to have pet snakes. Why is it not a pet snake? Every time I see her on screen with that little snake thing in her hair, I'm just like, why is that not a real snack? Snacks are cute. They deserve more love and attention.
I mean, I agree, but I don't know if so many Japanese people have snakes as their pets.
Well, they should.
It's a bit hard if you have not that space available to you. A snake needs space.
I'm just saying, it'd be nice to see more anime girls with snakes for pets. That'd be nice.
I will definitely support your petition on that.
But that's the main takeaway from this kind of crappy show that has some interesting aspects. More anime girls should have pet snakes.
I think that's the lesson of the day.
All right, I rambled on about anime longer than I probably should. Let's get into topics. Like the one we actually have planned out. We never picked a second one.
I don't know if you need a second one.
I kind of like the second one.
Well, depends on how much time we spend on it.
Yeah, we still got like an hour.
Good.
Holy crap, did I actually just spend like 30 minutes or anything? That's
yes.
Whatever. I'm sorry I ramble so much. Let's go. So in honor of it being Pride Month and the fact that we didn't actually talk about any relevant topics during like last year, and Last of Us Part 2 came out, we decided to talk about LGBT representation in video games. Because why not? I didn't know a better way to introduce the topic.
It's fine. I mean, it is a thing. I hope it is a thing.
What's a thing? It's like,
well, representation. It's kind of weird to get these days still. I mean, it has gotten better in some games, but you will still not see it all the time. It's weirdly gated off.
And I hope no one reads, like, I'm probably going to put that topic as, like, part of the title of this. I hope no one actually, like, clicks on this just to leave a comment about how, like, oh, you want gay people to be in everything. And I'm like, I don't want it in everything. What if I just wanted, like, some things, like, 90% of main characters in video games are, like, 20-something slightly grizzled white dudes with short brown hair voiced by Nolan North. Like,
I mean,
you have enough representation, Mr. Kansas City Dullard.
It's like you can have a bit more variety. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I'm honestly put off by some of these things where it's like, why are you the umpteenth military dude? Like, why? What do you serve? What purpose is
America?
It's kind of weird. It's really kind of weird. Especially consider this, that Sigmund Freud once said that men have a obsession with guns because it reminds them of their genitals.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I also said, like, yeah, that's probably the smartest thing he has ever said, and it's sadly very true. So I can understand why you don't need gay representation in a Call of Duty game, because everybody's already looking all the times at the guns, checking out the goods,
reloading their cartridges. I don't know a euphemism for guns. All I know is that Vash the Stampede has a cool revolver.
That's true. But we don't need to overcompensate.
I mean, I think he's like a super powered energy plant alien thing. So
Yeah,
he might not have anything down there for all we know.
I don't know. We don't know this. We are not going to speculate. It's not important.
Yeah, we're not going to speculate. So you play The Last of Us Part 2?
No, I have actually no interest in playing it. I barely played the first one only because my brother bought it and was like, "Yeah, I play this." He played it for a while. I think he finished it, and I just watched, I think, a let's play of the first one and was like, "So that's it." I mean, okay, it's very well executed. It's definitely something you can do, but I don't really have an interest in the second game. It's not that I don't like representation, but I don't buy games for the representation alone, especially not for a game that is so brutally violent and doesn't offer me better options.
And it's
Like you would,
basically Oscar bait the video game too.
it's kind of weird for me that a game that is so by the numbers brutal and has no other options at the end of society at the end of the end of the world to be like that. A lot of people really don't like this. I have talked to a lot of people in the LGBT community about this game, and a lot of people come back with they don't have a problem with the representation. They have a problem with the violence. It's so brutally violent for no reason at all.
I mean, a lot of video games are. Doom is fine because that's its whole shtick.
I mean, to a degree, yeah.
But this isn't about violence.
But it's very over the top in a different way. The Last of Us wants to be very realistic and nearly in the torture porn department, and I'm like, oh no.
I feel like violence would be a better topic for another episode.
That's true. That's true. But for that, I would probably bring a guest. But yeah, it's kind of it's definitely something that I say like didn't wanted this. I mean, if you want to have that, sure, you can have your representation. I don't mind it. I think it's okay. But does it have to be in this specific game? And the answer is, well, I mean, yeah, why not?
I will say this about The Last of Us 2. I like how they put a Vita in there and it's playing Hotline Miami. Like that. That's at least cool. Like I saw a video of it on Twitter where like I think it was Jason Schreier who posted it, and it was just like a video of Ellie shooting a Vita that was playing. And I was just like, that's freaking Hotline Miami. I don't know why it's in here, but okay, I appreciate that. That's a cool game that is also absurdly violent. But anyway, crap, I've lost the train of the conversation. Anyway, so here's the thing about representation. If you can, I don't think that I think like I've always wanted to. I have this idea that sometimes I think it's a good idea if they just set up a couple dartboards and then they just like throw darts at them and they like to decide ethnicity, gender, sexuality, and stuff from like post-it notes. And I feel like if they can write it the same way for all of that, then yeah, sure, that's representation. That's fine. If they figure out a way to actually integrate, some kind of, even just like a small way to just acknowledge that, yeah, this is a thing that happens. And okay, that might not be the best idea because if they do that, just a lot of people probably be like, "This is such an SJW pile of trash."
I think the idea of doing it randomly is not a problem. The problem is, can you pull it off in the story? Can you make it not look like a cliche or poorly done?
Yeah, if you make a gay character, I don't want them prancing around in like ballet tights and saying how everything is fabulous, and just don't. No. If you do that, unless you're like South Park and we know you're taking the piss, in which case, yeah. Okay, sure, you can do that. We know you're crude. We know you do stuff like this. You probably do it more tastefully than that, but still.
But I think it can be everywhere if it wants to be. It's not a problem. It just has to be done in a decent way. And let's be honest, what's the difference between a non-LGBT person and an LGBT person? Usually, it's preference and something that you can show. Like I think good gay representation is just seeing a couple of guys just standing there or having children, as a background element. I mean, it
Yeah,
gets for
that'd be
people.
nice.
It gets for people already mad. You know that. I know that, but it gets
Oh,
some
you know,
people
it would be
incredibly mad.
hilarious
Oh, I know what you come with. The classic,
if
right?
I'm not sure what you're talking about that, but I just mean like if if a story sets up a pretty basic like save your spouse plot and you're playing like a generic like imagine like a seventh gen like gritty basic like shooter thing and they say that you have to fight all these evil alien dudes to save your spouse and then it turns out to be another dude and it's just like and then they kiss and it's just like and they don't die but it's just like you find your spouse and then you go home and you have a nice dinner with them or something. It's just that would be hilarious.
I think so. On the flip side, if you want to use technology, you can make that specific character, customizable. You can put in your preference, and then you get what you want at the end,
Yeah,
as
that'd
your
be
spouse.
neat.
No,
Even
no,
if it is
no.
just like an end goal, that'd still be kind of cool.
I mean, it's a simple enough concept. I think you could execute that. Just pick it, or make it part of a weird, not so clear quiz, and just get your spouse based on that kind of trait. So what you're doing, and I'm pretty sure it will be funny. And a lot of people come out and realize, wait, my perfect spouse I described was a guy. That's funny.
Well, okay, they're pretty hot, so that's fine with me.
Again, it's
I'm
just like it's not a big
sorry, it's
deal.
just yeah, what honestly, I think one of the things that just kind of bugs me about a lot of representation just seems like really token. Like, oh, hey, we put in this character who we've said is totally gay, and then it's just like they're trying to sell like Tracer in Overwatch. You know, she's only gay in countries that like actually support that stuff, and like China or something, they're straight as an arrow. And I'm just like, if you're if you're just doing it to sell more copies to people who think um, that they're being supported by you and your video game, that's not actually representation of anyone. That's just you wanting more money.
Yeah.
If you either make them that character everywhere, or else you're not actually doing anything. Like it's like when a bunch of companies use rainbow logos on their Twitter profiles during June. Happy
Mm-hmm.
Pride Month, by the way. And it's just, and then they like immediately change them back. And like, no matter how much they say, oh, we support the LGBT community. Don't acknowledge any of the money we're donating to hate groups or the Republican Party or anything like that are like specifically trying to hate you and your way of life. Just ignore that. We have a rainbow profile picture on our Twitter profile just for the countries that actually, acknowledge that, there was that kind of lifestyle. But give us your money. Give us your money because rainbows, we love you, except not really. I
Please
think
don't
that's
call
what a
it a
lot of it
lifestyle.
feels like. It just feels like they put that in there and they expect you to just they expect to just get all that money from marginalized people because they put your representation in their game.
No, that's
Stupid.
typical. That's typical co-opting of language for profit methods. It's age old. It's normal. It's just what they do. In some cases, it can lead to better things. If people realize, oh, that's not actually that bad. If you can really reduce prejudice with it. However, the price that we are paying if we let companies do that instead of larger society is that they might just turn it into another marketing group and then it's just the same as always because let's be honest, the companies don't really care what happens to you as long as you buy their products.
Yeah.
And that's kind of disgusting
It
considering
just feels so
how much it is.
disingenuous.
yeah, there's so many groups out there who still are threatened. I mean, just look at trans people of color. They are in a really bad spot. Like that's just not good. That's really
Yeah.
disgusting. And you have like companies who think like, oh, we stand with trans people. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't help them, you don't support them, you don't do anything with it. You just say you stand with them, and it's like you're standing with them and just looking away when they are battered down. It's just not a funny thing to do. It's just disgusting.
It's like when people say they support the homeless, but then they're like, we've set up noisemakers so they don't stay in one place. And I'm just like, you do realize there are like 6 homes for every homeless person in the country, right? You could give them a home. You could organize something. You could help them. Stop saying that you care about them if you are going out of your way to make their lives worse.
But my property.
I don't care about your property. You probably have a shotgun if you're like a beer swilling redneck with a shotgun because you're clearly overcompensating for something.
It's not always that rednecks care for their property. It's just a cliche. Truth of the matter is, a lot of people who don't look like that do exactly the same thing. And it's kind of sad because I have seen a lot of people who would look like rednecks who aren't actually like that at all, who are smart and intelligent people. They just like having a beard and driving a truck. And there's nothing wrong with that specific thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's kind of important to also acknowledge, because because that's kind of a problem that we have here. If we don't acknowledge that these groups of people exist, then we're just segregating again, and that's not good for LGBT people. That's also not good for rednecks. In the end, I would like to have also rednecks join our cause, and like I want gay rednecks.
I'm pretty sure
What
those exist.
they exist. I'm very sure, but the question is, how many of them are in the closet because they are afraid what their environment is doing with them?
Probably quite a few.
And
I
that's
blame
kind of
Michael J. Fox.
Potentially. I don't know. But it's for me kind of one of these things where I would like to see progress, but it's only made very slowly, and everybody whittles it down. And representation can be a tool to at least get the public to think about it, but it's hard. It's really hard and not easy to do, because in some cases, the people who make the legislature and the people who are actually voting for them are not often the people who care about this or understand that directly, because some people make politics just, this weird kind of sports game that you're just in for your team. And I'm like, no, don't be in for your team, be in for the policies. It's frustrating.
It really is.
And
that's why I don't like talking about politics, because it's so stupid. But yeah, like what you said, like just having like legitimate representation by people who actually care about representing whoever they're representing, especially in the LGBT community, will at least, it might not seem that important to a lot of people, but it might help, like, broaden some people's perspective if they, like, it doesn't even have to be that big part of the game. Like, I remember when I heard that, like, oh, like Disney put a gay character in Onward, a movie that no one really cared about, and I'm just like, so, like, just a random background character. I don't remember if that's actually were they. I don't know if that was relevant. I just thought of like that. I feel like they probably had, like, it was just like one line that they probably changed in China or something, and I'm just like, that's not actual. That's so disingenuous. You're just using that to make money. But like, if it's actually, carrying representation, I don't know where I'm going with this. I guess what I'm saying, just like the main thing that I would look for in good representation of anything, of any kind of person from any walk of life, is just that they are a character who happens to be a part of some, segregated minority. Does that make sense?
I mean, I don't necessarily think it has to be. I mean, I think it's best when the characters are just depicted as what we would describe as air quotes normal, because that would
What
be
is normal,
nice.
man?
We can define normal as a mainstream perception of people from a sociological term.
Is that why so many people are just like white-haired, or not white-haired, white, brown-haired guys voiced by Nolan North?
I mean, that shouldn't be the normal, I think. I think the normal should be a color of a rainbow, you know? Everything. I want everything, you know?
You're just some lousy SJW trying to ruin my video games. Bleh.
Gamers are just the worst, aren't they?
Hey, most of them are. At least the vocal majority. Or maybe not the vocal majority, the vocal minority. The people who go out of their way to just be like, stop having fun because they see something that's not exactly them, then yeah, those guys suck.
Hey, but Chads always find a reason to be angry. That
Yeah.
just goes through all kinds of demographics.
I feel like we really just lost the train of conversation like so many times because we just keep going off on different tangents.
It's not a very clear defined topic because it's for me the concept of how good representation is done is not that complicated as many people make it. It's actually rather simple. You just need to commit to it. That is the essential point. You need to
And
commit
don't
to
change
it.
those aspects of their characters when the game is localized to China or something.
Yes, that is an essential thing that you need to. And if China doesn't want it, well, then you don't want to publish in China. Why would you
But
publish in
the
China?
money!
But money can do things with my scrotum whatever it wants to, but that's just not important for me. But yeah, it's not important. What is important is in the end the message you are sending. And if the message you are sending is that being part of the LGBT spectrum means that you are just, you know, 2 lines removed from every other character, and that's just not at all representation. That's just cowardice. That's just levels of Dumbledore is gay, and that's just terrible.
I mean, that was written by, she who shall not be named.
Mm-hmm.
And she just, made it up, so it doesn't even matter.
I mean, she had the opportunity to actually do it, you know? They make these stupid these stupid prequels, and they still don't commit to it.
I haven't seen them.
So
but I think that's the same thing for video games. Like, you have the opportunity to make characters that represent minorities, and you have a chance to make them, really good, memorable characters who happen to be part of that minority. And then I'm going to blame the big publishers because I blame the big publishers for a lot of things in the video game community, because they'll probably be like, oh no, we can't market that quite as well. We won't sell and like billions and billions of copies of the game. We won't make more money than we possibly can because we have a character that's representing probably at least some portion of our audience who feel a bit left out because everyone they play as is just the same dude over and over and over again. And you have the opportunity, and a lot of publishers are just like, no, you can't do that.
But you see but you see a pattern here, isn't it? You see the pattern that these publishers think that conformity makes money, right? That's kind of clearly the line of thinking that is here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is not the case. I think this is a bad idea. I think this is, even when you look at it from a profitability spectrum, not a good idea. I think if you appeal to more people, you make also more money, logically speaking, because you reach more people, you reach a larger audience. So from a logical standpoint, I think conformity is the wrong approach.
Yeah, because again, it might be just not important to most people of the audience, but to a small portion of the audience that think like, oh hey, that's actually kind of nice. Like, they actually wrote a character like that. I think I might pick this game up and see what goes on. It might be a neat little game. Not
It's
like Ubisoft, where it's just like, here's another designed by committee conveyor belt sandbox.
yeah. Sorry to say that, but it's just
Also, I'm just
not
going to say
good.
this right now: Ubisoft representation does not count.
I don't even. Do they even have representation at this point?
I
Like,
think it's always just that thing where they say like this. It was developed by a team of multicultural people and all that stuff. I
I
think in
mean,
like
yes, that is
the
true,
latest
but
one, you could just like you could pick male or female, and then you could bang pretty much anyone. And I'm just like, that's not actual representation, though.
that's
Like
just
that was
that's just
just what
removing.
was done in history.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't the last one the Greek one?
Yeah, that was it.
So, and the Greeks are famous for being pretty gay, like incredibly gay. So I'm. It's just like, wow, how much representation? It's just historically accurate. Wonderful.
Is it also historically accurate that if you're too low a level, you can't kill someone by stabbing them in the throat?
I'm pretty sure that's not how the Romans conquered large swaths of the world. It has nothing to do with that because
It
that
was
would
the
be
guy
just
who like
weird.
commanded their soldiers to walk off a cliff until the enemy just gave up.
I don't know. I forgot about that.
Whoever did that was like brilliant. I mean, that was cruel, but like they probably saved a lot of lives, ironically, because they were just like, "That's right, my soldiers are willing to walk off a frickin' cliff. What have you got?" It's terrifying if you think about it.
I don't know if I want to do that, but
But
I let you.
anyway,
Yeah.
that's not really good representation. I mean, sure, representation if the player chooses to do so is fine. That's totally okay. And I don't know what Cyberpunk 2077 will be like. I'm probably
Oh,
not
we
going
have
to play
we
it.
have we have no idea. This has already been a very colorful, very colorful thing. To be honest, like with weird posts, awkward postings, reactions, interviews.
At least
We,
Keanu Reeves is in it.
that's true, but I don't think that Keanu is representation of for than other for Keanu. You know, it's like
Yeah, but like he's Keanu.
yes, he is very lovable and he is very likable. That's not the point. But we
I
have
know.
no idea how this will end. I don't know what this will go through. I'm definitely eagerly awaiting what they're doing. It will definitely make some people mad, I'm pretty sure.
What doesn't make people mad nowadays?
Hey, I don't know, stepping on a Lego or it's like stepping on a Lego. Some people are just happy to find it, others are just screaming.
Yeah, but anyway, what was it talking about? Oh yeah, representation by choice. If you let the player be like, here, you can do that if you want to. I don't really think that counts as like good representation because that's just like an option of a thing you can do, and if you don't, then it's just like,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
they
nice to have
programmed
an
it. Just like,
option.
what's the big deal?
No, it's nice to have an option, but
I'd personally rather have a character that's just like already that way.
I mean that this would make it unavoidable in a sense. You
But a
have to
lot of
deal with it.
yeah, but then a lot of like publishers would probably be like, "Oh, they probably worry that a lot of people are be like, "Oh, you're shoving this down our throats." And I'm just like, "If you ask." I don't know where I was going with that. But anyway, uh there's not a lot of good representation if you think about it. At least not like the big video games because a lot of them are so designed by committee because they try to conform to an audience that already exists and they just keep making the same thing over and over. And, you know, with lack of representation, you're probably not expanding your audience who might even have just the slightest interest if they're like, oh, this character is kind of like me. That's a nice little thing to see. Maybe I'll pick up the game, and if I find an interest in it, maybe I'll pick up the next game. You know, that's a thing
Mhm.
that could help in a business way, and it could just, you know, be a nice little thing that you can use to include other people. Like, that's a nice thing. But we rarely see that.
I've seen even the opposite. The fact is that there's so much of a lacking representation in the video game industry that even characters that aren't are nowadays seen as icons for specific groups of people because they just do something. Like I have come in contact with trans people who just said, Link is my trans icon. And I said, like, why? Link isn't trans, but he cross-dressed and he's depicted as a little bit of androgynous. And I'm like, that's kind of me. And I'm like, yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. But this is how far we have gone. It's so poor in the representation department that people have to be clamoring for every little thing. It's just, this is madness. This shouldn't be the case.
Sad.
Yeah, it's really sad. I don't have to clamor for looking for representation of people that look like me, what is, not a good sign considering that, yes, I conform to all of these very, very strange things with very few exceptions. So yeah, but I don't want, but let's be honest. I don't want to be on the package of a video game. I would like to give it the space to everybody else. Like, come on. I don't mind sharing the spotlight. It's like, come on, come here. Stand in front of me. No, you are more important than me. Doesn't matter.
You're not more important or less important than anyone. Like, everyone's important. Unless you're a jerk, in which case go away. But like everyone else, yeah, sure, come on, join in our fun and games, and just have fun, bring the world together. And if that just like, oh, let's put in a character and actually have a decently written storyline about how they're gay and they're just like totally okay with that. And I don't know, that'd be nice to see. I actually picked up a game yesterday, or like 2 days ago, called Max Gentleman's Sexy Business. It is a Victorian tycoon game that is also a dating simulator with some NSFW elements. It's fun. It's like Honey Pop, or not Honey Pop, Honeycam Studio, except you like just take over businesses in Victorian London. It's actually a lot of fun. And this is probably like an example of like representation by choice, because when you actually just like, as soon as you make your character, you actually have an option between like 12 different body types that decide whether you are male of like 3 different body types, female of like 3 different body types, and then trans versions of each one. So like if you are female to male, you got body types for those. If you are male to female, you got body types for those. And it's just like, that's nice. That's a nice thing you're doing right there. And then there was that, and then you can date anyone you want. So that's always nice to see. And then Jesse Cox, because the YouTuber guy, I think he was actually like a producer of the game. He will come around every now and then and sell you Victorian smut, and it's just like, sometimes it's straight, sometimes it's girl on girl, sometimes it's guy on guy, and it's just like, one time I think it's like girl on eldritch horror.
Somebody call Oscar Wilde because it's getting steamy in here.
They actually do have an author, and his name is Gun Moses.
The powerful spell combined with a profit. Sure, yeah, I like that.
Yeah. But it's just like, it's very positive about all of that. Just like, it's very inclusive and all that. And like, yeah, you could argue that it kind of contradicts what I said earlier about representation by choice, but this is more like the option for representation, or not option for representation. It's like everything is there, and it's just like, what do you want to do? Like, whatever you are up for, this game, you can make yourself in this game, and you can date whoever you want, whoever you have a preference for. It's all cool. And that's just something nice. Also, something funny, I think, is that when you set like the amount of sexiness in the game, they actually represent this by little drawings of fruit and vegetables, like an eggplant.
Okay.
And they actually like pixelate the eggplant when you pick. Like, it's funny. I don't know why. But it's a really nice game because it's just like whoever you are, whatever walk of life you are, whoever you want, just here you go. This is a game where you can just play as yourself and you can it's a nice way to represent pretty much everyone. It's really nice. Does that make sense? Does that contradict myself or
no? Because
Alright, cool.
I think you can't always generalize these things. We have to look at them at a case by case basis. And let's be honest, tycoon games are not necessarily known for their story rich environment.
It's actually a really fun story. Like all the different characters, they're kind of neat. Personally, my favorite is Pip Whipple. She's an amateur detective who's just the cutest. I don't know. She's adorable.
Oh, that's cool.
And remember Dream Daddy?
Yes, I remember Dream Daddy.
That was another good case of representation because it was all about just big, lovable dads. Just and you could date any of them by making your own dad. You could even be a trans dad if you wanted. And then just like that was cool. That's cool. That's a neat thing you can do. That was nice because everyone was just like a nice character, and you just like, oh, they all happen to be like gay dads, and just like, okay, that's really nice. Thank you, Game Grumps.
I'm not allowed to say the word daddy anymore.
I'm not going to ask why, because I feel like that's probably going to be a really creepy answer.
I don't know why. People don't like when I say it.
Maybe it's just... Maybe you just said it wrong one time. It's just like, oh...
I always say it like this. Daddy.
Sure. Yeah,
I don't know.
that wasn't so bad. Maybe your voice is just like too sexual by default. People are just like, that sounds really creepy.
I don't
know. What about you? You ever come across games like that where it's just, like examples of nice representation?
I have seen accidental representation.
Like what?
See, in some games, especially with character creators, there is sometimes options in there where it's like, where it's just not works. For example, I play a lot of Pathfinder Kingmaker, and the game is not so well coded. So the result is that you can just put female voices on male bodies and vice versa, and nobody bodges an eye. You can just do that. Then you have games like The Sims that allow you to completely customize the experience. I think I talked about that, where you can basically have all clothes for everybody and even define how they specifically reproduce. So if you want to have like a female body that is not capable of getting pregnant but capable of, doing the deed, sure, fine, no problem, you can do.
That's nice.
Yeah, and
shame it's published by EA, but whatever.
Hey, I think I haven't paid for The Sims in a very long time. So, yeah, but
right.
But yeah, it happens sometimes. Also, it's weird. Some wrestling games have that, but that's probably because they have only a limited set amount of clothes. But they have other weird limitations. Like I always remember the fact that these games have this weird objection where female wrestlers and male wrestlers can get in matchups with each other, and I'm like, it's 2020, it's kind of like, I think it's about time to change that. So weird.
What? Wait, did you say they can or can't?
No, they can't. They can't, apparently. I just don't know why. What's the problem here?
Yeah, girls can kick guys' butts.
Yeah. And I mean, there is a certain, and I have to say, there is a certain homoerotic nature of wrestling. I mean, a lot of oiled guys in their Speedos, that has a certain kind of appeal I can't deny.
I remember this one quote from an episode of Zero Punctuation. He was like, "You missed the interesting story in a game about lightning wizards from Mars. That's like missing the homoerotic subtext in professional wrestling."
Yeah, It's true. It's true. Very, very so true. Ironically, this is a business where the representation is still pretty terrible, actually.
Which is ironic since everything is like really theatrical.
Yes, I mean, you could play this up. Why not? That's not a big deal. But the problem is the main audience for wrestling seems to be still this very particular kind of white dudes in a lot of cases that would say like we are not ready for this. Like these are the people who still boo the foreign heels. So you can
What's a
imagine
heel?
what this is. A heel, that's the bad guy in a storyline. You
Oh.
have baby faces that are the good guys.
Oh,
And
that's what those Goki cards mean.
yes.
Oh, I didn't realize that. For those who don't know, Gokis are an archetype in Yu-Gi-Oh! That I think are supposed to be based on professional wrestling. And they have cards like Goki heel turn, something like
Yeah,
that.
that's
I didn't know what those meant.
a heel turn is when a face turns evil, when they're doing something despicable. And it's like, yes, it is expected to boo the heel. I get that, but it's kind of weird when you see that. It's just like, why are you booing the Canadian guy? Like,
Bit Canadian.
yes, I've seen heel Canadians playing the Canadian theme up, and they get booed, and I'm like, what the hell is this? It's your neighbor to the north. It's like, what? What is this?
Wrestling hell.
The weirdest part is that if you are long enough in the wrestling scene, you realize that you like the heels more than the faces anyway. It's something normal. I like the heels often way more. You would be surprised how many evil Russians I have seen that are far more likable than their actual American counterpart, because Hulk Hogan is very uncharismatic.
He's also a massive racist.
That's true. That's the reason he's not allowed to get on television anymore.
And he made all those terrible movies.
I'm not sure if I should hold this against him. It's like Hollywood wanted them. They knew what they were getting.
Yeah, but like The Rock has made some pretty good movies.
Yeah, but The Rock's nowadays more known for actually being a movie star and less of a wrestler at this point.
I want him to be known as the president. President Rock.
Okay. Could be worse.
That'd be cool. That'd be awesome if he became the president. It'd be neat.
I'm not sure if he actually is allowed to do that. He's a Samoan.
I don't know. I mean, he was born in America.
I don't know. It's not important for me. He could go there, sure.
Oh, he's an American Canadian.
Oh, what? Okay.
He was born in Hayward, California, United States, and he is 48.
Well, I have to say, he's not looking like 48. I can tell. He's not looking like 48, but yeah,
his dad's name was Rocky.
Yes.
That's a cool name. So yeah, he could probably run for president.
Sure.
I'd like that.
Sure, can only be an improvement at this point, I guess.
Yeah, he's such a nice guy. And could you imagine just Mr. President, this gigantic hulking dude walks on, just smiling and waving. He's just like, "You jabronis hit the jackpot."
He's giving you the eyebrow, and I'm like, does this mean nuclear war or not? I don't know.
I don't think he would do that.
Nah, I don't think he would do that, but it's just...
Anyway. We got off track again. We're really bad at this.
It's okay. We have fun. That's what podcasting is about, having fun.
Yeah. I guess we do just kind of talk about whatever. That's why we're called the Digital Juice Bar. We just kind of start talking.
I don't think you need to be cohesive as long as you're entertaining.
Well, then we fail on both fronts.
I don't think so. I'm having a lot of fun right now.
All right.
And that's the most important thing. I'm not working for the audience. I'm working for myself. This is my kind of.
We don't have much of an audience to begin with, so that's probably a good thing.
I don't know. I don't think that's. Again, I don't care for how many views I get. I only care for the enjoyment that I get out of the creation process.
All right.
No.
I can't remember where we were when we were talking about representation because I do think that is an important issue because I know I would certainly like to see more representation, not just of like LGBT people, but like I'd also like to see more people of color, like maybe some people with disabilities. That'd be kind of neat because like the only one I can think of is like Bentley from Sly Cooper. Because
Yeah,
if you don't remember, in the
disabled
third game
people.
he has a wheelchair. In the
Yeah,
fourth game.
disabled people are really not that common in video games. And as a disabled person, I find that weird.
Oh yeah, don't you have like a fake leg or something?
So, but yeah, it's weird. You don't get to see them that often. Uh, Ironically, you see that sometimes more in Japanese media because they have this kind of weird thing with people missing limbs becoming. I know, like Zatu.
Dorohedoro? Not Dorohedoro. Uh, Dororo, whatever that old Osamu Tezuka thing was, where like the main character just has like a bunch of swords for limbs.
Yeah, that's a thing, but I was more thinking of people like Zatoichi, the blind samurai. That was a real cool thing.
Oh yeah, the blind guy,
Yeah.
blind samurai. So that guy is cool.
Yeah, and I don't know why they have this. Ironically, the treatment of disabled people in Japan isn't so great. So,
I actually read a manga recently that's like really good. I do recommend it. It's called Perfect World. It's a romance manga about this girl who reunites with her old high school friend who is now disabled. He works as an architect, and from what I've read in reviews, because I'm not disabled unless I mean my foot maybe, but just like that probably doesn't count. But anyway, from what I have read of like other reviews and stuff, it's actually quite an accurate representation of what disabled people like tend to go through in those situations, and it is actually a nice manga. So I do recommend checking it out because it does show the troubles that someone who is wheelchair bound has to go through. At least so I've read.
I mean, there are a lot of complications that you have to deal with. It's not easy, especially in Japan. There, it's pretty hard because nearly none of the buildings are actually
Wheelchair accessible.
Wheelchair accessible. In some places, you might get, especially the classic style of Japanese housing doesn't allow that because you have all of these elevated places. The Japanese like to don't wear their shoes. There's always this little step in nearly all of the houses, and it's like this is the worst thing for being in a wheelchair because it means you have to constantly exert more energy to just get in there, and it's pretty annoying. On top of the fact that Japanese houses are very small and there's often no room, so if you're really paraplegic, it's a terrible situation for you.
Yeah.
It's in other places it's better. I can tell you my federal state as of now is remodeling all schools for disabled people right about now. It costs a lot of money, but it's worth it.
That's nice.
Hmm.
Because it just shows that yes, we care about you.
Oh yeah. It's not that. It's just that I have my own problems with that, especially when it comes to finding a job. For a lot of people, this is a big problem in the entry barrier because again, they want conformity and they see, oh, person disabled. Well, that's not conform. That might mean this costs us more money or more effort to do so. Truth of the matter is no. Germany actually pays people for hiring disabled people with quite a big sum. Like they basically pay the full salary and more, and a lot of people still say no because can't jump over their shadow. They just see that as a problem, and I don't know why. I don't comprehend it. I was running around with a flyer and papers to give people the opportunity to get these kind of money when they hire me. And I told them, I showed this to them. It isn't a big effort. They just need a copy of my ID and fill out this paper in 2 minutes. and send it, and they get free money every month. But they don't see it like that. They see this just as more work, more effort, and instead of that, well, they could hire me, or they could hire the 6 other people that they have there.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's something I have to deal with. And it's not that I have not alternative options. But it should not be that way. But it's not that you can do anything for that. You are not the person in charge of this. And that is important to understand.
Yeah.
Hmm?
I think
Yep.
I think the thing about this whole thing about representation and hiring basically anything or anyone, and again, especially representation of just any minorities in any form of media, but especially video games, which have often been, so homogenized for the longest time. It's just that it really doesn't take as much effort as developers and publishers are assuming. And it would probably end up being better for everyone in the long run. Like, he'll probably appeal to a wider audience. The representation, or not reputation of your company will probably improve because you actually took the effort to, represent a minority that doesn't see a whole lot of. I've said representation so many times, but I don't really have a whole lot of other words to describe it in that form of media, because it's not hard, I think. You just need to care enough.
Yeah. It's a question of caring, and it's also breaking out of a cycle of conformity. That's really what it is. We need to break out of that cycle. The world is colorful. The world offers us so much and has so many different people. I think it's time that they get their opportunity to shine and be part of all of that instead of just endless amount of white dudes.
Especially with how the world is now, because, the world will try to punch you in the face a lot, over and over again, by a lot of different people, telling you that no, you're not on the same level as them. And it's just like, hey, you friggin' matter. You matter just as much as anyone else.
Yeah.
And I just think that, with an ever expanding and progressing world like video games, representation and acknowledgement of that is really important, because it just shows a very wide audience of people that, LGBT people exist. They're just the same as you and I. They just don't swing the same way. And that's totally fine. That's just how they live their lives.
I agree.
Like, maybe people feel uncomfortable in their own bodies, and that's totally acceptable. There are ways that they can make them feel better, and I think that's important, especially with how the world is nowadays. I want people to feel happy about themselves. I want them to feel like they're acknowledged and that they matter and that that people see them and they're like, yes, we care about you. And that's why representation is important. If the company actually doing the representation takes it seriously and actually, commits to it and means it when they make a character like it. Not like Tracer, not like Soldier 76, not like literally anything Ubisoft does, because they just don't count for anything anymore. No. Representation is a character, being a human being, and human beings are like, they come in all different shapes, sizes, colors, every spectrum across the rainbow, and the spectrum of LGBT stuff. There is a lot of spectrum. So, yeah, it is important. And if that pisses you off, well, you can go suck a giant cactus. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
Cool.
That's good. So, do we want to end it?
I still think Ellie looks like Ellen Page.
Yeah, she really looks like it a bit.
I would be surprised. On the bright side, it's a lot better than I don't think The Last of Us 1 was like super good. It was just kind of like okay, but like it's leagues better than the game Ellen Page actually was in.
Oh God. Beyond Two Souls was a terrible thing.
I want more people who are willing to put gay characters in video games and just have them be like have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or just something, just like to say like, hey, like it's all right. Normalize that kind of stuff through a widespread medium like video games. I think that's just what representation should be used for. Just normalizing something because there's really nothing wrong with it.
No, I don't see so. I don't see it so. It's a good thing. Let's keep doing it.
Yeah.
Let's keep having more gay daddies.
Yeah, let's keep having more games like Max Gentleman's Sexy Business, the Red Strings Club. Because I forgot to talk about the Red Strings Club.
Next time.
Next time. Let's have more games like that. Let's have more games like Dream Daddy. I'm actually trying to think of some, and I'm drawing a blank. That's how much we need more games with representation. Because, look, I'm gonna look at my shelf and see if there's anything there. No. Judgment, kind of. Oh yeah, and Yakuza Kiryu's just like he's totally cool with that, and he's just like screw anyone who thinks differently or not differently, but like screw anyone who thinks your way of life is gross. You do you, and whoever disagrees, I will smash in the face with a bench.
You get benched.
Yeah, that's about all I can think of, actually. Actually, when you actually look back at Yakuza, they actually have a decent amount of representation. I remember this one part in, I don't remember which Yakuza game it is because I haven't there's a lot of them.
Yes.
There's going to be 8 soon. 10 if you count Judgment and the Fist of the North Star game. And he meets a woman who's just like, I bet you were surprised that I used to be a guy. And he's just like, nah, I don't care. You do you. Kiryu is such a nice guy. Like he's the coolest protagonist.
I still don't understand why people have such a problem with trans people. It's like, come on, what's wrong? You already have. If a man meets a trans woman, they already have something in common. Why not use this as a?
Depending on when they are in their transition, if they decide to get bottom surgery.
I know they have something in common. We were born apparently as a man, and some like that.
Unless it's like trans man meets trans woman.
Yeah, that even then there's also a commonality.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's just because we have a weird obsession with knowing what's in people's pants.
I don't mind it. You can have in your pants whatever you want. That's the good part. But yeah,
really weird.
No, you can have in your pants whatever you want.
I actually like to see more. That's the one I would like to see more of because, like, actually, I would just like to see more representation in general, and that's why we're talking about it, even if it is incredibly disjointed and choppy. Because it's neat to see. It's like the one we see probably the least of, if you think about it.
Yeah. But I think we're running out of time here. I think we're running out of time here.
Yeah, we probably are. Main point of the conversation: representation is good.
More needed.
All LGBT people, you matter. We recognize you, and we love you. Unless you're a jerk, in which case, then no. So if you're listening to this, and you fly that rainbow flag, then we love you. Thank you. You're cool. Don't be afraid of who you are. Unless you're a serial killer. I'm putting a lot of caveats on these statements.
It's okay to have a lot of asterisks on some stages statements. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
Another
that's
thing we learned,
Yep.
the final thing, is that Kiryu is just like one of the best video game protagonists ever because he hits things with benches and he says trans rights. Trans rights, by the way.
Yeah. So
You got
I think
anything to end us off on?
yes. Happy Pride Month, everyone, and all lives can't matter till Black lives matter. So I think we should end it here.
Agreed. Bye.
Bye.